Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Keesley.
And I'm Kendra Cook. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news show, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV.
If you have a news topic or tips you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show is live on Tuesday at noon and rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired on Friday at noon, 3 and 6.
Coming up, Utah sheriffs charged, hail and brimstones, no smartphones for Denver's youth, and more.
And also bison processing, farmers market with the weather, sheriff's report, and area happenings. Today is May 30th, 2017, and now the news at noon.
According to the Cortez Journal, it's a time of transition at the Cortez Planning and Building Department as officials consider updating the city's building codes alongside other changes for builders. The city has operated under the 2009 version of the International Building Code, which is updated every 3 years since 2010. Planning and Building Director Sam Proffer wants to bring the city up to date this year. At the same time, an update to the Land Use Code has been in the works for more than a year, and the city recently hired a new full-time code enforcement officer to implement rules that are often in flux. Proffer gave a presentation to the Cortez City Council at its May 23rd meeting on the building code and why he wants to update it now. Contrary to the name, the International Building Code is a U.S.-only set of rules that can be adopted by local and state governments as they see fit. Cortez has used it for many years and is the only government in Montezuma County to do so. Proffer said he didn't push to update it when the 2012 version came out for several reasons. Number one, it's a lot of work. Number two, it's a lot of expense. Number three, a lot of times there isn't enough change on one cycle, he said. But he believes there are enough chances in the latest version of the code to warrant consideration. Several are designed to protect firefighters in case a building does go up in smoke, like a new structural requirement that could keep emergency personnel from falling through the floor if it loses integrity. Proffer took office in 2010. This would be his first update in the 7 years that he's held the position.
In the Cortez Journal from Denver, there may be some interesting new items on the Colorado Legislature's website, proposals that voters might see on upcoming ballots. Examples include more than 12 transportation funding proposals, an effort to ban gay conversion therapy, and ballot measure number 29, which would prohibit the sale of smartphones to children under the age of 13. That ballot initiative would establish fines on retailers who sell smartphones to preteens after having been warned. The fines begin at $500 and go to a maximum of $20,000 for fifth and subsequent offenses. It was introduced by a trio of doctors in the Denver area who want to hit pause on the sale of smartphones, which they believe are, quote, addictive, harmful, and dangerous in the hands of children. Tim Farnham, a doctor from Sheridan and father of 5, said he has seen firsthand the effects of excessive technology use on his own children and believes something needed to be done. After seeing increased isolation in his children, he began researching the link between unfettered access to technology and childhood development. Pretty much every piece of research I could find was showing it was harming kids, and there was almost none that showed any benefit, Farnham said. So he started a nonprofit, Parents Against Underage Smartphones, and began looking into legislation. The idea was, let's just stop to consider what we're doing and let's take a moment and think about how much tech our kids really need and how can we optimize what's best for their development, Farnham said. He and his co-sponsors are gathering signatures. They need roughly 100,000 to get the initiative on the 2018 ballot. Dan Snowberger, superintendent of Durango School District 9R, said he is unsure if legislating parental responsibility was the right step, but he understands the thought process behind the initiative.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, the Region 9 Economic Development District of Southwest Colorado will receive $300,000 of revolving loan funds from the U.S. Department of Commerce's Economic Development Administration to meet the region's growing loan demand for startup and agriculture businesses throughout the region. EDA RLF funding will help build our entrepreneurial infrastructure where the need for funding is for startup and early-stage businesses that do not have the history or track record to be bankable, but are diversifying our rural communities in product offerings and creating or retaining jobs, said Jenny Stoller, Region 9 Business Loan Officer. Region 9 had initial funding from EDA in the early 90s that seeded the microloan fund activity that continues to this day. The funds will be matched by $300,000 of Region 9 funds, resulting in $600,000 of new business impact into the region. This additional EDA funding provides us another tool to meet our growing loan demand from rural businesses, said Laura Lewis Martino, Executive Director of Region 9. We received 166 loan inquiries last fiscal year and closed 33 loans. Those numbers are not going down. For more information, contact Region 9 at 970-247-9621 or www.scan.org.
Reported by the San Juan Record, the Utah Attorney General filed charges in 7th District Court against San Juan County Sheriff Rick Eldridge and 2 of his deputies. Charges include a single felony count each against Eldridge and his chief deputy, Alan Freestone, and several misdemeanor charges against Eldridge, Freestone, and Deputy Rob Wilcox. The San Juan County Commission said the 3 law enforcement officials will remain on active duty until the legal proceedings are complete. The Sheriff's Office has 11 field officers, including the 3 who face charges. Commissioners argue that placing the officers on administrative leave will create an undue public safety risk for the county residents. The issue appears to have begun as an employment dispute with another deputy and has grown into a full-blown crisis within the department. A probable cause statement outlines an incident at the department qualification chute in May 2015, where Eldridge allegedly pointed an unloaded assault rifle at a deputy whom he had previously confronted. 1 year later, after the deputy complained about the incident, Eldridge assigned Freestone to investigate. The charges allege Freestone did not conduct a proper investigation. The probable cause statement adds that the 3 officers provided false information to an investigator from the Utah Attorney General's office. The deputy was placed on administrative leave several months after the internal investigation was complete and eventually resigned in April 2017. The charging documents were filed in 7th District Court in Monticello on May 12th. Eldridge is charged with felony retaliation against a witness, reckless endangerment, obstruction of justice, and official misconduct. Freestone is charged with felony retaliation against a witness, obstruction of justice, and official misconduct. Wilcox is charged with reckless endangerment, obstruction of justice, and official misconduct. If convicted, the felony charges carry a penalty of up to 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $5,000. The misdemeanor charges carry a maximum jail sentence of up to 1 year. The 3 men have been involved in law enforcement in San Juan County for years. Eldridge, age 48, was first elected sheriff in 2010 after spending 19 years in the Utah Highway Patrol. Freestone, age 57, and Wilcox, age 46, have been sheriff's deputies for years. Local officials were taken by surprise when the charges were filed. Many thought the issue had been resolved. Attorney General Sean Reyes said, "It is never pleasant to bring charges against a fellow public servant, but when it's necessary, we will diligently do our job to assist the court in holding them accountable."
Reported by the Cortez Journal, a free lecture about a 4,000-year-old bison processing site in the San Juan Basin will be offered at 7 p.m. June 2nd at the Aztec Ruins National Monument. In the summer of 2013, before construction of a pipeline, archaeological survey crews from the University of New Mexico began to excavate, investigate, and inventory a site that initially showed a scatter of 60 chipped stone artifacts over 3/4 of an acre and a single large side notched point. Archaeologists soon discovered, slightly more than a foot beneath the surface, the preserved remains of a 4,000-year-old bison processing site with a substantial late archaic component. Archaeologists Robin M. Cordero will give the presentation and interpret the archaeological significance of the discovery, including artifact assemblages, implications for the presence of bison during the time, and the possibility that the appearance of the large side-notched points may reflect a movement of bison hunters from the north into the San Juan Basin. Cordero began his career in cultural resource management in 1997. He has participated in excavations, surveys, and analyses in California, New Mexico, Texas, and Colorado, and is working as an archaeology projects administrator and a co-principal investigator. Cordero and Christian Solfisberg of the University of New Mexico Maxwell Museum of Anthropology compiled and published a volume of research that paints a new picture of the terminal Middle Archaic in the San Juan Basin and raises questions about the understudied period in human history. The talk will be held at the Monuments Visitor Center, 725 Ruins Road, Aztec. And now let's take a look at our weather.
The regional weather forecast from the National Weather Service out of Grand Junction shows limited mid-level moisture under a weak upper ridge is still expected to drift northward into the western slope today with a few late-day showers and thunderstorms, but mainly over the mountains. The cloud buildups will be high-based with gusty outflow winds and little, if any, rain. Looks like the best chance in our area for rainfall would be from those showers over the San Juan Mountains, but even there, generally expect less than 1/10 of an inch of rain. Moisture should increase some over the zone on Wednesday under a southwest flow, with scattered afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms. Again, mountains will be favored locations for showers and thunderstorms. Models generally indicate double the potential compared to today's expectations, but even then we would expect gusty outflow winds from any showers or thunderstorms. Near seasonal temperatures can be expected today and Wednesday at most locations. However, more cloud cover in some areas will be created on Wednesday, particularly the southwest Colorado mountains. The likely result is maximum temperatures at those locations on Wednesday becoming a little lower than today. The longer-term outlook should be heating up in the west, while the east cools down significantly. Data also suggests that the pattern across the lower 48 will be a bit stagnant, with systems slow to move east to west and day-to-day weather very similar. In the case of our region, low pressure to our southwest will be favorable for pulling up moisture from the Gulf of Mexico into the Central Rockies and adjacent high plains. You can see on NOAA's national map that our region is right on the edge of those rain and T-storm possibilities, with a large high pressure behind to our west. Opportunities for rain exist in the Pacific Northwest and the Upper Rockies, through New Mexico, and then over a significant portion of the Midwest, Southeast, and Atlantic coast. The Upper Plains, California, Utah, and Texas seem to be spared the rain or thunderstorm potential, at least for today. And the 5-day outlook from the DCTV weather station is showing a 20% chance of thunderstorms both Wednesday and into Thursday, with matching highs and lows of 77 and 49 degrees. The end of the week moves those high temps to 79, 82, and the warmest yet on Sunday of 84, with mostly sunny to partly sunny days, while the evening temps creep up around 50 degrees. Might be that we are finally done feeding the wood stove inside for heating until the fall. And now, back to the news.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, this month archaeologists and volunteers helped to stabilize and restore a historic frontier cabin near Blanding, Utah. The Shumway cabin site, located on the banks of recaptured Wash, is part of an early 20th century ranch by the Peter and Mary Shumway family. The stone home, built about 1911, may be the best preserved example of a Mormon outlier cabin in southeastern Utah, according to archaeologists. But its existence is threatened by many environmental factors. Severe erosion caused by the shifting channel in Recapture Wash could collapse the cabin. A large cottonwood tree looming over the structure threatened to crush it, and cattle walking inside and leaning on walls has also been a problem. To help save a piece of local history, Friends of Cedar Mesa partnered with the Shumway family and Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration to restore the cabin. Assisting with the project were Woods Canyon Archaeological Consultants of Cortez and a $2,600 grant from the National Trust for Historic Preservation. For 2 weeks in May, 8 volunteers, under the direction of an archaeologist, stabilized and rebuilt stone walls, added some roofing, and replaced some window frames. The mortar was mixed from on-site soils, just like it was done more than 100 years ago. In March, a large dead cottonwood tree was removed that overhung the cabin. The delicate job was carried out by Thomas Wigginton of TM Premier Services out of Monticello. Kay Shumway of Blanding is the grandson of Peter and Mary Shumway, who settled the family in the area. Horse and wagon were used to haul stones from a nearby sandstone cliff to build the cabin, he said. The remains of the family dairy bunker are still visible nearby. Kay's dad, Lee Shumway, lived in the cabin as a kid and took Kay there as a child to show off family history and the toughness of pioneer lifestyle. The homestead was occasionally raided by local Native American tribes who were resisting increasing pioneer settlements.
From the Durango Herald report, the largest hailstone ever recorded in America spent close to an hour aloft in a cloud growing to the size of a small volleyball, then plunged to earth at more than 100 miles an hour, struck the ground in South Dakota weighing nearly 2 pounds, left a divot, was scooped up by a local rancher and placed in a freezer, melted a bit during a power outage, was packed in dry ice and driven cross-country, and finally arrived at a lab in Boulder, Colorado, where Charles Knight, one of the nation's premier authorities on hail, added it to a research collection that also included the 2 previous record-setting hailstones. Even by Knight's high standards, though, the golf ball-sized hail that hammered the western metro area earlier this month was something to behold. Large hail is pretty rare this close to the Front Range, said Knight, a senior scientist at the National Center for Atmospheric Research. But when the clouds twirl just right, Colorado's unique geography and climate are capable of producing spectacular amounts of hail. The state resides in what meteorologists call Hail Alley, a swath of land that also includes parts of Nebraska and Wyoming that is frequently bedeviled by hail. Areas of the Front Range and Eastern Plains can see 10 or more days of severe hail per year on average. The science of hailstone formation reveals that you have been told a lie your whole life. Water, really, really pure water, doesn't necessarily freeze at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It can, in fact, stay in liquid form at temperatures down to almost minus 40 degrees, a phenomenon that the scientists call supercooled water. It's these tiny droplets of supercooled water suspended in clouds, towering as much as 9 miles above the ground, that start joining together to form hail. But first, they need an instigator because supercooled water, Knight said, doesn't know how to start forming molecules into ice crystals. The instigator could be a fleck of dust that changes a droplet structure or a speck of water that freezes spontaneously at a colder elevation, said Andrew Hemsfield, a hail expert and colleague of Knight's at NCAR. Either way, once there's an ice particle in the cloud, what scientists call a hail embryo, it exerts a kind of chemical peer pressure on other droplets, pulling them in, turning them into ice, and gradually building up a hailstone. It's a process seemingly dreamed up by Kurt Vonnegut, who once authored a novel about a chemical that turns water irresistibly into ice. Being told this, Hemsfield said Kurt's brother, Bernie Vonnegut, was actually prominent in our field. So what does this have to do with Colorado? The Front Range's topography turns out to be a perfect petri dish in which to create hail. Hailstones don't form or grow very big without massive amounts of air billowing up from below. These updrafts keep the embryonic stone aloft long enough to gather up water into an ice ball, and the stronger the updraft, the bigger the stones can grow. Hemsfield said hailstones can spend a half hour forming in clouds, with the absolute largest and the strongest updrafts taking close to an hour. Mountainous areas, such as Colorado's Rockies, promote these updrafts by acting as elevated heat sources that pump warm air up from the ground high up into the atmosphere. A study published last year by the National Insurance Crime Bureau ranked Colorado second nationally behind Texas for hail loss claims between 2013 and 2015.
According to the Durango Herald, the Cortez Farmers Market will begin on Saturday with more registered vendors than last year and plenty of food, crafts, and live music produced in Montezuma County. This year, 42 vendors have signed up for the market, including 5 new producers and 38 returning ones. They will be at the parking lot next to the Montezuma County building on 109 West Main Street from 9:30 to around 11:30 a.m. every Saturday from June through October. Although registration is for vendors closed May 12th, market manager Teresa Titone said there's still plenty of room for local not-for-profit organizations to advertise at the community booth, which is sponsored by Farmers Telecommunications. She said the farmers market is a great way to get the community together during the summer. She has also advertised the market as an ideal option for people who want to buy local. All the vendors are from Montezuma and Dolores counties, and Titone said the market's board of directors regularly turns away people from outside the area who want to sell there. This year's merchandise will include meat and produce from returning vendors like Berto Farms, Pitts Family Ranch, and the Bee Tree, as well as craft items from artisans like the Dirt Mamas and ready-to-eat food from shops like the Pie Maker. Dolores-based massage therapist Abby Gulick will even be offering traditional Thai massages to visitors. New vendors include Sky Blue Farms and Orchard Mountain Farms, as well as several individual producers. In addition to the vendor booths, a different local musician or group will perform every Saturday the market is open.
And that market starts earlier at 7:30 usually. But here's today's rest of the High Country happening. Saturday, June 3rd at 9:30 a.m., City of Cortez and the Dolores River Anglers of Trout Unlimited present the 8th Annual Fishing Festival in Derby. The events are free and open to the public. Events will include fly casting and fishing lessons, learning how to tie on flies and other fishing knots, and learning how to identify insects that fish feed on, and much more. The Fishing Derby will complete the day with lots of prizes. A special prize will be awarded for the biggest fish caught. Registration is required at the front desk of the Recreation Center or by calling Brad Waltman at 970-759-0175. The Colorado Pipeline Association Emergency Response Training Program is open to the public today, Tuesday, May 30th at 6 p.m. The presentation will be held at the Dove Creek Community Center. The training scenario will be a natural gas transmission pipeline failure in a Dolores County town. The San Bruno, California incident will be used to provide emergency responders with a basis to compare and discuss Dolores County's response capabilities for a similar event. All of the happenings are listed on the DCTV News at Noon Facebook page. Check it out. If you have news or event information you'd like us to share, send us an email, dcbnnews@gmail.com, or call us at the station. The number is 677-4119.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of May 22nd through the 28th. A single vehicle accident on Highway 145 north of Rico was reported. State Patrol and Rico Fire responded. Responders found the location of the accident, but no vehicle, just an oil slick headed south. Officers arrested a man on felony charges of sexual exploitation of a child. Multiple reports were taken of telephone scam calls purporting to be from the IRS. Multiple concerned motorists reported a female sitting along the highway. A deputy responded and found all was well and provided a courtesy ride to assist in her travels. That's it for this week's Roundup. Stay tuned for continuing updates. Thanks for tuning in. A reminder that this program is aired live at noon Monday through Wednesday, then is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m., and again re-aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at 3 and 6 p.m. each day respectively.
And be sure to check us out on the Facebook page. We have the YouTube replays there. Please like us, join the local conversation, and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.